Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request for... I'm not sure if it's Joe or Jose, or if either one works. His YouTube channel is Joe Ruiz, R-U-I-Z, Joe. But when he sent me the request, it said Jose, so I don't know which he prefers. But either way, thank you very much, not only for your kindness, but for sending in the paid request. I appreciate it. And he wanted me to do a commentary on the 1995 film The Usual Suspects. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, commentaries, reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. While I get the movie queued up. For those who want to follow along, I will count down and go like 3, 2, 1. When I say press play, feel free to follow along if you want to. Now, I have seen this film before. I know the twist ending, all that jazz. I remember it being it was okay. It's an okay film. You know, it has good acting. It is one of those movies that is heavily reliant on the ending and on the twist ending, because it goes into the unreliable narrator. In other words, the guy talking completely made everything up because of what was on the wall and everything else. So, on one hand, it's like rewatching it is, I don't know how to put it. You know everything you're being told is BS, so nothing really matters. But at the same time, it is a good cast, and it is well acted. Of course, it doesn't help that it's directed and stars sexual predators, because Bryan Singer, there's plenty of stories of him being a predator of younger people, say with Kevin Spacey, so that doesn't help either. But let's get right into it. Pause at the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. We have the MGM logo, which you rarely see that logo anymore for movies. I mean, they're in front of the Rocky films, a lot of the James Bond films now. I don't know who deals with MGM anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if they've been bought out. But yeah, Bryan Singer, this is the guy that would direct Apt Pupil. He would direct X-Men 2, Superman Returns. He was directed that film Bohemian Rhapsody, and then there were some issues, and he quit, got fired, however you want to hear about the story. And there's a lot of stories about Bryan Singer doing stuff to younger folks, and I mean, yes, in this day and age, I don't know for sure until I see it. I mean, look at all the stuff Amber Heard lied about Johnny Depp, and she been found out to be a complete utter tool and psycho. But I don't know, at the same time, you hear so much that when there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, say with Kevin Spacey. But yeah, like Benicio del Toro, and even, Stephen Baldwin. Far different from Biodome. Gabriel Byrne, who I remember from... He was the devil in End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, this film won Oscars for Best Supporting Actor, Kevin Spacey, and Best Screenplay. So it won at least 2 Academy Awards. And... what was I going to say? I forgot what else I was going to say. Damn, sorry about that. Christopher McQuarrie, he would go on to be a director as well. I think he directed some of the later Mission Impossible films. And I think the first Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise. And what else did Christopher McQuarrie do? He's worked with Tom Cruise quite a bit. Yeah, he did Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible Fallout, which are 2 of the best Mission Impossible films. He's doing the two-part... I didn't know it was called Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2. I didn't know it was Part 1 and Part 2, and I didn't know it was called Dead Reckoning. Huh. Yeah, he directed Jack Reacher, The Way of the Gun. I didn't mind that film. Of course, one of the first things you see is someone pissing. Oh, I was going to say, a lot of critics loved the film, but I know one who didn't was Roger Ebert. He gave it like 1.5 stars. Said it was confusing and uninteresting. To the degree that I do understand, I don't care. And then USA Today, one of the most densely plotted mysteries of memory, though the paradox is 4/5 of it is way too easy to predict. So Gabriel Byrne is out there, can't feel his legs. Knows this guy's Keyser Söze. But I guess you assume this part is real. Like, this part is real. Because he's not telling the story yet. And there's a reason why we don't see his face. And then he kills Gabriel Byrne's character. So while the rest of it will be made up, we do know this part is true, at the very least. Gabriel Byrne either knew or found out he was Keyser Söze, and there was this shoot out the boat, and Keyser Söze started the fire. Like I said, of course, there's a reason why he's in shadow and you don't see his face for the reveal at the end of the film. Now, 1995 was a pretty good year for movies. I mean, you look at the top 10, a lot of films I like. Die Hard with a Vengeance, Toy Story, Apollo 13, GoldenEye, Pocahontas, Batman Forever, Seven, Casper, Waterworld, Jumanji. So now Kevin Spacey starts telling the story, and this the unreliable narrator. In other words, Kevin Spacey's going to be making everything up. So Stephen Baldwin didn't woken up. Here's Kevin Pollack. Speaking of End of Days, Kevin Pollack here played Arnold's partner in End of Days. That's a nice little shot, throwing it into the camera in order for the edit. Here's Benicio del Toro. Who would be in The Way of the Gun, which the writer would direct. And from what I understand, he was one of the people that was going to be the star of The Predator, but then they got Boyd Holbrook. That's a downgrade from Benicio del Toro to Boyd Holbrook. Or was he supposed to be Adrian Brody's character? I can't remember which Predator film he was up for. One of them. And Benicio del Toro was in Sicario. And there's Gabriel Byrne. And Special Agent, that is Chazz Palminteri. Another good character actor. Apparently they had other people up for that cop. It was going to be Christopher Walken, Robert De Niro, but they said no. Al Pacino. But he's like, well, I just played a cop in Heat, so I'm not sure if I want to play another cop Now, Chazz Palminteri was in A Bronx Tale around this time. And Chazz Palminteri is still with us. I say he was in The Bronx Tale. He was in Bullets Over Broadway. He would be in A Voice in Stuart Little. Running Steered, which is a good, underrated Paul Walker film. He was in that. And the whole thing with Kevin Spacey's character is that he has this limp and he's holding his arm, trying to be, oh, I can't be that guy. He's physically inept to do it. And apparently this is a scene where the germ of an idea for the movie. An interesting choice that each of these interviews, you have this really weird lighting to it. I mean, it's not natural lighting, it's, I don't know what you call it, almost like a, not a heavenly glow, but like a weird spotlight. Read a little bit of the cast on if this ad would go away. Apparently the director and writer sent the screenplay for the film to Kevin Spacey without telling him which one was written for him. They didn't fuck by us business. Man, business must be good for you 24/7. Must really like it. Should go into porn. Del Toro's character is definitely a character that's very hard to understand what he's exactly saying. Kevin Spacey met Gabriel Byrne at a party and asked him to do the film. He read the screenplay, turned it down, thinking that the filmmakers could not pull it off. Then he met the screenwriter and director, was impressed by the latter's vision of the film. Gabriel Byrne was also dealing with some personal problems at the time and backed out for 24 hours until the filmmakers agreed to shoot the film in LA, where Byrne lived, and made it in 5 weeks. Stephen Baldwin was tired of doing independent films where his expectations were not met. When he first met the director, he went into a 15-minute tirade telling him what it was like to work with him. After Baldwin was finished, Singer told him exactly what he expected and wanted, which impressed Baldwin. Kevin Spacey suggested Del Toro for the role. The character was originally written for a Harry Dean Stanton type actor. Del Toro met with Singer and the film's casting director told him that he did not want to audition because he did not feel comfortable doing them. After reading the script, Del Toro realized that his character's only purpose was to be killed to demonstrate Keyser Söze's power. It did not have any meaningful impact on the story. As a result, Del Toro developed his unique, garbled speech pattern to make him more memorable as a character. Kevin Pollak met Singer about doing the film, but when he heard that 2 other actors were auditioning for the role, he came back, auditioned, and got the part. That's also a weird name to have for someone, Verbal Kint. I mean, that sounds like a made-up name, Verbal Kint. I mean, then, that's the thing is that when you're watching this, again, this is Kevin Spacey, spoiler alert, is Keyser Söze. A lot of stuff he's making up, he's talking to Chazz Palminteri, and just grabbing stuff on the wall, using them. Now, maybe this stuff is real. Obviously, the lineup is real because Chazz Palminteri was there. And he would be like, wait a minute, that's not what happened. Well, you can go to hell too. How about them apples? Well, you can kiss my ass too. How about them? But yeah, Stephen Baldwin, I mean, I think after this he did Biodome, which is a very far cry from this. I mean, looking at Stephen Baldwin's in A Soldier, Uncredited, and Casualties of War, which is a good Michael J. Fox film. Born on the 4th of July, among others. Back to The Usual Suspects, he did Biodome and Fled. Because The Usual Suspects, I mean, it made a bit of money, and it got Oscar recognition, so these actors got a little bit of room leeway. So you probably thought, oh, I do Biodome. It maybe be a box office hit at the very least. Because Pauly Shore at the time his films were decent hits. And then I did to do an action film called Fled. But they were flops. They were flat out flops. Yeah, that boat has seen better days. One body there. And other films Gabriel Byrne has been in, he was in The Keep, he was in Cool World, The Man in the Iron Mask, Enemy of the State. Forgot he was Enemy of the State. Stigmata and End of Days, same year, to like horror religious movies. Ghost Ship. He was the bad guy in the Assault on Precinct 13 remake. Now this guy on the right is Dan Hedaya. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in this very underrated film I saw recently called Night of the Juggler. Deserves a Blu-ray. And I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't realize I was running a little bit out of room on the video camera, so I had to do some stuff so I have a bit more room so that I don't get cut off in the middle of this. But for those following along, I am paused at 19 minutes 17 seconds, and I will press play in 3, 2, 1, now. But yeah, I was talking about Dan Hedaya. He's talking. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in the Sylvester Stallone film Daylight. He was in, like I said, this underrated film called Night of the Juggler. Been in quite a few films. He was in the first Addams Family film. So. Yeah, that's true. He is dead. I mean, we, the viewers, saw that Gabriel Byrne's character was shot by someone and killed, so we know Gabriel Byrne's character's dead. And then we have two people that are heavily burned. By the way, that guy talking, the FBI agent, is Giancarlo Esposito. If anyone out there remembers Maximum Overdrive, he's the guy that got electrocuted by the arcade machine. Wow, when he touched it, he got fried. And Maximum Overdrive. But he was in Maximum Overdrive. And here's Kevin Spacey. This is definitely when you get more of the unreliable narrator quality to the film. Again, pretty much a lot of the stuff he's saying now is just going to be stuff he picked off this wall. I just, in a way, watching it again, it seems obvious that, Kevin Spacey would be the villain because he's played the villain. He's a villain in real life. He was the villain in Seven. In the same year. On other stuff. Well, it definitely will be a story. I say it definitely will be a story. Again, trying to make him seem unassuming, dropping the lighter, telling a supposed alright story about someone he knew back in the day who was fat, and trying to appeal to, I'm just a typical guy, and Chazz says, I'm smarter than you. Wow, he really drops the ball by the end of this movie. Not quite. Now, if you saw Chazz when he picked up the coffee, there's a little bit of lettering on the bottom that he's looking at right now, and once again, that helps with his story. It's even more of the unreliable narrator. In 1995, there were a lot of films coming out around this time that, to me, was a much better landscape than it is today. I mean, a lot of people like 12 Monkeys, that came out the same year. Ace Ventura: Nature Calls, a fun sequel, Jim Carrey film. You have Apollo 13, great movie. Ron Howard, one of his better films. Babe, it's a cute movie. Bad Boys, started Michael Bay's career. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence. Still love Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. I like all the Bad Boys films. Basketball Diaries is pretty good drama with Leonardo DiCaprio. Batman Forever was a big movie that year. Billy Madison helped start Adam Sandler's career, and that was a hit, and that's a fun film. And you go through it, you got Spike Lee made a film called Clockers. You got Congo, which I think is an underrated movie. Crimson Tide, rest in peace Tony Scott, another good one. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, fun horror movie. Desperado, kick-started Robert Rodriguez's career. He had done El Mariachi, but Desperado definitely, like I said, kick-started it. Just a lot, some watch El Mariachi, but not a lot. Die Hard with a Vengeance, one of the best Die Hard films. And the list goes on. Friday, great comedy. Yeah, I'm itching my nose. Lies his here, trying to go straight. Gabriel Byrne initially refuses, but eventually agrees to rob a jewel smuggler being escorted by corrupt cops, netting millions in emeralds, getting over 50 cops arrested after leaking their activities to the press. They then go to California to fence the jewels through a man named Redfoot, who connects them with another jewel heist, but it goes badly and the contents is instead revealed to be synthetic heroin. The men learn that the job was arranged by a lawyer named Kobayashi, who says he arranged for their arrest in New York and that his employer, mysterious Turkish crime lord Keyser Söze, has ordered them to raid a ship holding Argentinian drug dealers and destroy $91 million worth of cocaine being sold on board. The cash brought for the change will be their reward. It is a nice looking place, I'll say that. I don't know why for a split second I thought the music was going to be like the JFK soundtrack. That's the film that needs to be re-released on Blu-ray in the U.S., JFK. Just if you try to get a Blu-ray in the U.S., it costs a bundle. Oh, there you go. So pretty much these corrupt cops get paid off to escort people, and sledgehammer. Open up that windshield. There you go. That's to screw up your hand tremendously to smash it with. If a guy's got a shotgun in your face, yeah, give him what he wants. Gee, that was Kevin Pollak. What are they going to do? Burn the car? Well, then I don't be driving the car. Then I want to get the hell out of it. That was some pretty decent staging, so it didn't seem confusing. Ah, the Twin Towers. Sadly missed. Sure, I'll dance. What time do you open? Looks like the two are going to kiss. Stephen Baldwin and Tim Pollack. Just kiss each other and make up. Well, he's right. He's definitely the man with the plan. Just not in the way you guys think of it. He's the guy with the super plan. Keyser fucking Söze. I think that's also the thing with me is that, again, the film is alright. It's never been a favorite of mine because, I don't know, around this time you do have other movies dealing with heists and dealing with, I wouldn't say really cops and robbers, but, I mean, this is the same year as Heat, which got a lot more out of me than this film. Like I said, I could give it that the direction is competent and the acting is pretty decent, but I would give it like maybe 3 out of 5 stars. Just like I said, once you know the ending, like a lot of this kind of comes off empty because you don't know what's true, what's made up. A lot of it is made up. So all you're doing is just listen to this guy make up a story. So either Chazz knew Gabriel Byrne was like this, and by making up the story, Kevin Spacey's losing it. Or so I'm listening. As I mentioned, Keyser Söze. Keyser Söze is like this big, spooky character that is supposed to be this big criminal. This big criminal that is legendary and is behind a lot of hardcore, brutal, evil stuff. Like the boogeyman of bad guys. Baba Yaga bad guys. I mean, what they say, what's the biggest trick of the devil to make people think he doesn't exist? He could be right in front of you, you don't notice. That's Kevin Spacey. In real life, because I never would have thought Kevin Spacey was that evil in real life. But, you know, I guess that was why he pulled this off so well, because he's just as evil as his character. Yeah, he's sure Teen's dead because he's the one who killed him. And you see that Kevin Spacey was looking over here is because he's looking on the wall and he was trying to make the story up while he was interrupted by Chazz Palminteri. Now on the right here is Peter Greene with the cigarette. Peter Greene, he was, I believe, in Pulp Fiction. He was the guy who had the dimp. You're Brandon the Dimp in Pulp Fiction. And then there's Stephen Baldwin. And yes, he's part of the Baldwin brothers. Al Baldwin and Billy Baldwin, William Baldwin. William Baldwin was in Backdraft. Alec Baldwin shot someone. Billy Baldwin was in Virus. No, that's William Baldwin. Billy Baldwin. And then you had Daniel Baldwin. That's the other one. It's Alec, William, Daniel. Daniel Baldwin was in John Carpenter's Vampires, and then Stephen Baldwin. There is an Adam Baldwin, but he's not connected. And Adam Baldwin was in Full Metal Jacket and Predator 2, but he has no connection with these Baldwins. Now, Kevin Pollak, again, he was in, I mentioned, with Gabriel Byrne in End of Days, but he was also in A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise. And nice location. It's a nice location to do this deal. I mean, they said it's California, but I don't know where in California that specific location is. It seems like it would be nice to live in California, but just very, very expensive. Just way too expensive. I just see what Benicio del Toro means is that his character doesn't really have much to do in this. I mean, Del Toro hasn't really done anything other than the little bit at the lineup, but he hasn't really gotten much with his character to deal with. There you go. Good shot. Both at the same time. Gabriel Byrne looking like that, he looks like the Green Hornet. And there's Kevin Spacey shooting someone. You sure you want to drive the van with two big old blood splashes on it? You sure you don't want to like try to wipe it off or something? At least try to wipe off the blood. So that was another heist, but this one went a lot poorer. And there's no jewels in this. It's synthetic heroin, I believe. Damn, there's a lot more people this time. That was a nice hit. Cigarette right to Stephen Baldwin's face. Wonder how that happened. I wonder if it was actual cigarette into his face or what happened. That's a good shot. I mean, it's not easy to flick a cigarette right, bounce right off his face. That was for Biodome, bitch. Take your biodegradable ass out of here. Go back to fucking Pauly Shore. This is Giancarlo Esposito. A long way from being electrocuted by a arcade machine. Anytime I hear the word Kobayashi, I keep thinking about the Kobayashi Maru Star Trek. But yeah, this is Pete Postlethwaite. I remember he appears at the very end, picking up Kevin Spacey's character. But yeah, Pete Postlethwaite sadly has passed away, and he's been in quite a few stuff. The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2, he was in Alien 3, he was in a few other films. Again, like I said, sadly passed away, but he was a pretty good actor. So pretty much people always detailing about how inadvertently these 5 people stole from other attributes that were connected to Keyser Söze. So Keyser Söze wanted to use these 5 people for this plan from New York to California to this next. One cannot be betrayed if no one... You can't betray you if they don't know you. That's true. And obviously, if Kevin Spacey's telling the story, he's probably interweaving a bit of truth into it. So, like, this meeting probably did take place. And this dialogue probably did take place. But again, that's the point of an unreliable narrator. You know, someone said it best. If you say W, X, and Y are the truth, and people have bought you enough leeway to think, well, you're telling the truth, you could lie with letter Z, and people just buy into the truth. Because if W, X, and Y were truthful and they was real, you just slip a lie in there. And you keep doing that, you just slip all these lies in there to build up your BS story. This isn't the suitcase from Pulp Fiction, is it? Not going to glow? Maybe it's a bomb going to explode. Okay, what's in this? If it's a face, I'm going to be very sad. Oh, it's the ship that is supposed to raid, which is the boat that was burned up at the beginning of the movie. You have your deal, you're playing, you're part of the job. Pretty much just shows their entire life in one package. And one makes them believe how much of a big deal they are. Pretty much detailing that no one believes Keyser Söze was real. Have I ever pulled? There you go, that's the quote. Give us the world doesn't exist. Oh yeah, this is where they threaten Keyser Söze's wife and kids, but he murders his wife and kids, and shows just how sadistic and how he doesn't just have any care for the world, so it makes it more dangerous, much more dangerous. Sorry, I would just listen to how it's explained Keyser Söze. I don't believe in God, but I'm afraid of him. I do believe in God, but I'm afraid of Keyser Söze. Everything you have a reference to the Incredible Hulk in this. Well, he's true. I mean, it says right here, you'll never hear from him again. And he does disappear after this. Again, that's the thing. Is like, what part is true, what part is not true. Even that whole thing, what part of that story of the origin of Keyser Söze is true? Maybe he did kill his family and did all this, but was it in Turkey? Was it a different country? I didn't. That's the thing, is that it gets to a point where you don't buy and believe in anything. So you just kind of, which has weight and which doesn't have weight to it. There's Del Toro's character. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Del Toro just found dead. They just showcase the power. Damn, it's been a lot of spit came out of his mouth when the Tim Pollak shirt. And the Keyser Söze just plays everybody. He plays everybody like a fiddle. Like a damn fiddle. Yeah, I'm sorry about the commentary. I just don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a film that, like I said, I grew up with. I've seen the film. I don't mind the film. Like I said, for me, it's a 3 out of 5 star movie. I think it's okay, but I don't love it like other people do. And I don't have like a. It's not bad enough to make fun of it. Not nearly. It's not a child favorite where I do have constant references. It just is what it is. I swear I've seen this music in trailers to some movies. I can't remember which trailers, but I swear this music has been used in some of them. Maybe not. Maybe it's music that's similar to this. There's some pretty good lighting in there with the elevator. You get the idea of the two bodyguards being shot, and then the reveal of the blood splatter on the windows behind. And that was a nice piece of lighting there. Nah. I think that's the girl that Gabriel Byrne was in love with. I was saying that Chazz Palminteri, oh yeah, Gabriel Byrne's not this and this. It's like, well, no, that's how he can utilize and manipulate Gabriel Byrne's character. It's with that. I think Chazz Palminteri was a good choice because he had someone like Robert De Niro or Al Pacino or even Christopher Walken. I don't know if he would buy into them being so, how I put it, I don't know if people would buy into those actors having the wool so pulled over their eyes by the end of the film. Like Chazz Palminteri you could deal with and buy into, but it's like, oh, come on, it's Al Pacino. He should be able to, as ridiculous as it may sound. Because by the end, the cop comes off as a big fool, like gigantic fool. Haven't been lied to, all this story made up, everything in between. You had the devil in your own room and you let him go. That's a nice piece of direction. Reflection of the window, you can't see anything until the shadow, the silhouette, so you can see more clearly the image. Pretty much showing, hey, you want to kill me, we'll get to her too. And this is also, Kevin Spacey's character is a guy that manipulates people. Even now, he's manipulating this cop because he knows this cop has such a hard-on for Gabriel Byrne and his character. And maybe he knew before that if he ever gets this position, this is the cop that would talk to him, interrogate him, and go, oh, well, this guy has a hard-on for Gabriel Byrne, so if I get Gabriel Byrne and his girlfriend involved in all this, they'll believe Byrne is Keyser Söze and not him. So it's a guy who's like, think about Jigsaw in the Saw films, how he seems to know everything that's going to happen and it fits in perfectly into his plan. Same with this. And really, for what, like they said, there's no drugs on here. It's pretty much using these guys to kill these people, so he doesn't have to do it himself. And Keyser Söze will kill anybody, anything, no matter what. It's like these guys are going to be dead. Gabriel Byrne's girlfriend, she's going to be dead. Everybody's going to be dead. I do want to look at Roger Ebert's review, since I know he was that. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as Roger Ebert made it out to be, but I'm just curious what his review was like. If I can find it. Let's see. I mean, this was on a list of Ebert's most hated. Like, Ebert's most hated comedies like Joe Dirt, it's not that bad. North, it is that bad. The Hot Chick, yeah. Baps, yeah. Baby Geniuses, yeah. Spice World, yeah. Waterboy, nah, not really. Let's see. Catwoman, Stargate, not nearly that bad. Well, I mean, he also put Constantine and Critters 2 and Deep Rising on the list. So, yeah. Doesn't mean I have to agree with Roger Ebert with anything and everything. Some things I do, some things I don't. Oh, just like everybody. I'm trying to see what he says here about The Usual Suspects. Once again, my comprehension began to slip, and I wrote down, to the degree that I do understand, I don't care. It was, however, somewhat reassuring at the end of the movie to discover that I had, after all, understood everything I was intended to understand. It was just that there was less to understand than the movie at first suggests. I don't know about that. The story builds up to a blinding revelation which shifts the nature of all that has gone before, and the surprise filled me not with delight but with the feeling that the writer and director would have been better off unraveling their carefully knit sleeve of fiction and just telling us a story about their characters, those that are real in any event. I prefer to be amazed by motivation, not manipulation. This is the ordinary. The interrogation between the cop and the suspect falls to a monotonous pattern. Friendliness, testiness, hostility, a big blow-up, threats, reconciliations, and then full circle again. We hear amazing stories about Söze. As verbal toss, we see what he describes, and his story takes on an objective quality in our minds. We forget we're only getting his version. To the degree that you will want to see this movie will be because of the surprise, and so I will say no more, except that the solution when it comes solves little, unless there's really little to solve, which is also a possibility. I mean, I kind of get what he means, but, and, oh, there you go. Nice explosions, nice gunshot squibs. We got Stephen Baldwin as the sniper. We had Kevin Pollak set up the explosion. Gabriel Byrne had some nice gunshots there. Very rare you don't have Kevin Pollak have a machine gun. And very rare you don't see Stephen Baldwin in a movie that got any Academy Award recognition. know, these guys took them out. Which again, this maybe is how it happened. Maybe this isn't how it happened. Again, with Kevin Spacey telling the story, who knows what is stretching the truth and what's not. It could be this part is the truth. It's just the parts with him are the one. I mean, again, that's the thing you don't know quite sure. I mean, maybe we're to assume that this part is truthful. Like, this is the stuff that did happen. Just Kevin Spacey was not just sitting there hiding at the docks. And then it was Kevin Spacey who shot him. Does this look. So again, I think we can assume that this is how it happened. It's just Kevin Spacey was the one shooting. And this part of him sitting there would be the lie. And again, that'd be my assumption to everything. And so all that's left is Stephen Baldwin and Gabriel Byrne. They're taking care of most of the people, and then Kevin Spacey takes care of them. Keyser Söze. And that's why this all happened. Because to get rid of the rat and do it a complicated way to make him disappear once again. And that's the rat. That's the whole reason this is being done, is this guy needs to disappear, get killed, all that stuff, and Keyser Söze wants that to happen. That's the whole reason this whole thing came about. You dirty rag wolf. So, I mean, with Roger, I don't think it was as confusing as Roger Ebert made it out to be. And I don't even have to take notes. And Keyser Söze manipulates, and that's his will to manipulate people, is his strength. Get people to do the job for him and wash, clean his hands, and then walk away and disappear. Interesting shots make it feel like a horror film. Like the dangling light ball, the POV through these tight corridors. Trying to build a bit of tension. I didn't like a horror film. Stephen Baldwin's not going to make it. He's going to be the next to die. Because if we saw Gabriel Byrne die at the beginning, it's kind of weird they give that away at the beginning of the film. I wonder if that was the best decision or not. Because you see a guy with a gun on Gabriel Byrne. I mean, if they took that out, then maybe you could give more of a, oh, maybe it is Gabriel Byrne. But yeah, I wonder if that was a mistake to have him set up early on. I had a gun on him and boom. Yeah, anything here with Kevin Spacey is going to be made up. And Baldwin's going to get it pretty soon. Or is this witness first? There you go. Again, the director, I will say, do a nice job with these scenes, invoking a horror, like, tone feel to it. Two gunshots, two in the head. There you go. It's a pretty decent camera work and decent music. That's the thing, that's a lot of stuff that's decent in this. Again, it's just not a film that... The reason I put 3 and not 4 or so out of stars is just... For me, there's not a lot of rewatchability, for me. But again, that doesn't make it a bad film either. Same when Baldwin's been shot. Ew, right in the back. Well, he's got that in the back of him. He's not going to make it. And this is where the manipulation comes into play that, well, yeah, Kevin Spacey's over there, so he must not be the guy who shoots. But again, that's where I think a lot of this maybe is more true than you think. It's just, Kevin Spacey's lying about where he was. Easy, you don't miss. And probably one of the reasons why he made himself look like a cripple, because no one would take a cripple seriously as a criminal mastermind, or as the devil, or anything in between. By the way, you have a machine gun, you spray and pray. That's why one of the deals with a machine gun. There you go, he shoots Gabriel Byrne, burns everything up, and in order to help disappear and move along. And then we have the explosion from the beginning of the film. You know, and then the question comes into play, if the movie did not have the ending that it had, would the film be remembered? Would it have gotten an Oscar win for screenplay? I mean, there are movies with good twists as well. I mean, Primal Fear, that's another example. Look at Edward Norton. And so you think he figured it out as Gabriel Byrne, when in reality, saying you think it's one thing, that's another. The master manipulator. You have a cop who's so gun-ho and sure about the guy he's looking for that he just believes in it. And the girl's dead too. I mean, Kevin Spacey, I gotta give credit, he gives a good performance. Especially in this scene to misdirect you. I mean, horrible person, but he is a good actor. He was a good actor in The Negotiator with Samuel Jackson. He was a good actor in Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman and others. Even in Baby Driver, Seven. I didn't tell him what he wants to hear. I didn't just play him like a fiddle. I mean, it's again, I gotta give Chris good acting, despite you know, the allegations and all that. Anthony Rapp alleged that made a sexual advance toward him in 1986 when Rapp was 14, Spacey was 26. 15 others then came forward alleging similar abuse, including Boston anchorwoman Heather, who alleged that Spacey sexually assaulted her son, filmmaker Tony Montana, actor Roberto Cavazos, Richard Dreyfuss' son Harry. 8 people worked on House of Cards. I mean, and then he just walks right out. Play him. Play him hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. There he goes. Look at the wall. Figures out way too late. I will say, I mean, it is a good way to shoot the ending. It's well edited. How it all fits together, I will say. Yep. There you go. You think you'd be able to call people and be able to make that faster, but I guess not. Exactly. Never hear from him again. And there's Pete Postlethwaite. He disappears, and there's a cop with a thumb up his ass. Gone. I think that's the thing with this film is that, and that's why I was so sad I was just listening to it all again. You have a movie that's, it's there, it's alright, and then it has what people consider, and sorry, that's one of my cats, what are the crazy endings in the 90s. And again, I do maintain if it didn't have that crazy of an ending, the film would not be as remembered as it was since then. So you have a movie, and then an explosive in terms of script writing ending, and that's what people remember the most is the ending. The rest of the film is like in between, but the ending is what people remember the most. And I mean, and if you think about it, that's the most important part of a movie is the ending. When you're able to remember the ending, then a lot of things is fair game for that. So, if you don't make one part of your movie work, it better be the ending. Because that's the last bit of a movie that people remember when they leave the theater, when they leave the situation. And when I mean the situation, meaning you get done watching it, and X, Y, and Z reasons. And, there you go. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye. See you guys later. Bye-bye.